How to get out of a rut in 5 steps. Hi everyone, Dan back here from the Geek Physique for another video. Before we get into things, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel and ring the notification bell. Step 1, the moaning phase. Everyone needs someone. Loneliness can honestly be crippling. I speak to a lot of men in a really bad place, and one of their biggest problems is they don't have anyone to speak to. So having someone to speak to is essential. But once you have someone to confide in, you need to actually do something about your problems ASAP. It's very easy to just vent and vent and vent at someone, because that often does actually release a bit of dopamine and makes you feel a little bit better in the short term, like you're doing something about your problems when you're actually not. You're just talking about them, and talk is cheap. Action is what is actually going to change things in your life. So you need to, as soon as you can, get out of this phase. And it's okay if you still need someone to confide in. We all need that person, maybe for a second opinion, or you think you should go left or right, you're not sure, whatever it is. But the most important thing is you're actually taking action on your problems to get you out of the rut, rather than just having someone to confide in. This is why counseling can be helpful for a lot of people, because honestly, there's a lot of guys out there that truly have no one to speak to, no one that actually wants to hear about their day or their problems or the trauma that they've been through. But then the best kind of counseling, in my experience, is solution-based therapy, meaning this is a problem, here's a solution. Not just we're here to cry about it. Okay, cry if you need to, whatever, but actually do something about it. And finally, counseling's not for everyone, right? And I don't think it's a mandatory step per se. I think just having someone there, this is why a brotherhood or a tribe of men, or even just a few key friends in your life who truly want the best for you, meaning those who want the best for you will actually hold you accountable for your actions. They won't just go, woe is me, life is really hard. They'll say, yeah, but what are you actually doing about it? Because you've been talking about this problem for the last 3 months and literally you have done nothing about it. So take some ownership. Which brings me on to step 2, the smallest step forward. It's easy to get overwhelmed by multiple problems in your life. When I speak to guys who are in a rut and they're stuck in that moaning phase and they can't get out of it, they end up just brain dumping everything in their life. It could be trauma they went through in their childhood. It could be a relationship that went wrong. It could be the fact that, they've lost motivation to go to the gym. It could be the fact that knock-on effect, they lost their job and then maybe their girl leave them. It could be a number of different things, and a negative spiral they've been down, and so they feel crippled by procrastination because they've got so many things to tackle. So I say pick one thing, and at this stage I don't really care what the one thing is. It's up to you. Pick one thing and just work out the smallest possible thing that you could and would do to move forward. People get caught up in big changes and big goals and big problems, but we often don't realize the fulfillment that little wins can bring. And these are often things that other people might not really think much of. Like, it could be something as small as, I clean my room. Everyone's like, well, yeah, you probably should clean your room. But this is why Jordan Peterson does say, clean your room before criticizing the world. And you can look at this in a number of different ways. And it doesn't even have to be the world. It could be clean your room before trying to go for the big, massive job that you're not really ready for, or something like that. Because honestly, the little problems, solving those will lead you to the slightly bigger problems. And that process is just rinse and repeat. Just like in the gym, adding 2.5 kg to the bar is a lot more accessible and realistic every week, every 2 weeks. Then you will make a 10 kg increment on your bench press over time, rather than trying to just do that in one go, knocking down your reps, you're not really able to control the weight. It's much more progressive, much more realistic, and you can actually do it. And the final point about this is people, not only do we not realize, and I'll put myself in this bucket, I'm not wagging my finger, like I've been through dark times in my life, and it really was a hard thing for me to realize that sometimes it's just the painful little things you have to do day to day. And then before you even know it, you just feel better. I can't describe it. You feel like you're on a mission. You feel like you're actually getting somewhere finally. And then you realize, you look back and go, actually, there's nothing that's really changed, big change. It's all these little things like I've done. Oh, I've actually started waking up earlier, right? I've actually started going to the gym in the morning rather than waiting for the evening and only going when I feel like it or work goes okay, right? I've actually started telling the truth a bit more. I've actually started having better manners or touching base with my family a bit more. All these little things in your life, and then you start to suddenly feel like you're moving in the right direction. And that's why just pick one. And if it's too big, if it's like, oh, going to the gym is too much, go for a walk, right? If you don't get out of the house that much and you have lots of weight to lose, just go for a walk. Oh, but I don't want to walk. It's too long and I get tired and it's boring. Literally go around the block, put on a podcast, do whatever you can to take a step forward and keep adding to that process, layering it on, right? Layers of paint. That's what Joe Rogan, I think, calls it, is building a mountain but with layers of paint. Step 3. Health and fitness first. This is honestly my anchor in my life, and it has been since my mid to late teens. It changed my life for so many different reasons, but one of the things I always point back to for a lot of the clients we work with is the benefit of it is really in the ownership, the dedication, and the consistency that comes with putting your health and fitness first, right? Getting in better shape, whether it be losing weight, gaining a bit of muscle, and you don't have to be a bodybuilder, right? It could be anything. It could be you're going to a fight gym, whatever it is. Put your health and fitness first. Be conscious of what food you're putting in your body. Be active multiple times a week. And I would advocate for at least 2 to 3 times a week of lifting and a bit of cardio that you actually enjoy, right? I enjoy doing Muay Thai for fun. I lift actually 5 times a week myself, but that just works for me. And I actually take salsa lessons with my partner as well. And all those things combined keep me very fit, very active. And like I said, it's my anchor because there's not that many things in your life where you have majority, if not all the ownership over it. There's a lot of other things in your life where you've got like a built-in excuse. So what I mean by that is maybe in your job, it could be, oh, well, they said they would give me the report that I then had to finish because they had to do their bit first. So, it's actually their fault, not mine, right? There's no one that you can blame that if you didn't wake up and go to the gym on time. It's on you, right? And people sometimes scoff at that and they kind of retreat away from that kind of ownership because it's responsibility, and it does hurt when you look in the mirror, you're accountable for your actions, and I messed up. I should have set my alarm. I should have gone to bed earlier. Then I would have felt better. I would have got up. I would have gone to the gym. I would have got it done first, so then I can do everything for everybody else in my life. It's hard, right? It is mentally hard to do that, but it gives you a sense of power, right? You can feel very powerless when you're in a rut. Like you don't have control over anything in your life. And oftentimes I see people in this rut oftentimes have things like OCD, okay? And I'm no expert on the subject, but I know so many people that have these OCD-like qualities, like maybe obsessive cleaning, and they've got all these real problems in their life. And of course, I know I said earlier you need to clean your room, but only up to a certain point, right? Then start, like I said in the last step, then start layering up the issues. Okay, your room's clean. Yeah, we get that. Maybe then you need to get your health in order, right? And that's why I actually put health and fitness first, because it can also be very easy when things are going quite well in your life. Like let's say you meet a girl, you've got a girlfriend, or your career's going really well. It can be really easy to get complacent with your health and fitness and put it on the back burner or give up altogether. But this is one of those things, I find it all the time. I see it all the time with guys where it will come back and bite you. And it's one of those things where it's progressive. It's progressive to improve your health and fitness. It's also progressive to ruin it, right? It doesn't happen. You didn't put on all the weight overnight, and you're not going to lose it all overnight. So it's hard to see the marginal changes in the right or wrong direction day to day. Okay, but if you sustain that, your health and fitness, if you at least maintain a certain level, or you should really be trying to increase it all the time, trying to beat PBs, trying to get better at maybe a sport, whatever it is, it will genuinely give you that sense of ownership and confidence in yourself that you have the power to do anything else in your life, right? Be it pursue a better career, be it to get a relationship if that's what you want, or to then, if you've got kids, if you're trying to get them to prioritizing their health and fitness, it's going to be very hard to do that if you do not practice what you preach, right? So everything, I believe, stems from this, and only when, this is my last point I'll make on this, when it actually goes bad, do people again go straight to phase one. They get into the moaning phase. Yeah, I've got this health problem, I have to go to the doctors, I have to take this medication, blah blah blah. And there's so many things out there that stem from bad management of your health and fitness. And especially in the UK, we do have the NHS, which is a blessing for a lot of us. But in many ways, it's a reactive health system. It's not so much proactive. They do have a lot of pages and things out there, but they don't have the funding or the means or the time to go out there and make sure everybody's doing what they should be doing. When actually, if people did do that, then they wouldn't have to have as much of a reactionary health service, right? It's a positive feedback loop or a negative one, okay? So take ownership of your health and your fitness, and everything else will come from that. And that's usually, going back to step 2, one of the smallest steps forward you can take, and it will really be the catalyst to changing so many good things in your life. Step 4, what are your principles? Men need principles, a code to live by, something greater than yourself. If you're religious, then great. That usually will give you the guidelines, the principles, the commandments, whatever it is in of the faith you follow and believe in. One of the biggest benefits I personally see to following a religion is it gives you those principles to live by. But if you are maybe agnostic or atheist, or whatever, and I'm not going to get into religion, go deep into it today, but I still think you need to have principles that you live by regardless of your faith. Because like I said before, it gives you something greater than yourself, right? It will take you outside of yourself when things aren't going wrong, when you're in a rut. You'll know that actually I can't just feel sorry for myself and do nothing to actually make my situation better and just moan, right? And make things progressively worse and worse. Because if you're not really getting better, you're getting worse, right? You can't really stay the same. People believe that you can, okay? But you get one life, right? And the thing that we're all constantly losing is time. Time is ticking away constantly. So you're either moving forward in time or moving backwards in time, okay? So like I said, have principles. You need to sit and ask yourself genuinely what your principles are. Personally, I have 3 that I hold dear to myself, which is courage, honesty, and integrity, okay? Those are things I pride myself on and I strive for, okay? And none of us are perfect. I'm a work in progress. We all are. But those are also things that I look for in other people that I bring into my life, right? So what I mean by that is the cool thing about having principles is not only will it take you out of yourself and give you the power to act when you don't feel like acting or when you're having a hard time in your life, it will give you a reason to stay the hard path. But also, this is a side point and kind of like a bonus to having principles, is it will give you a way of vetting people when they come into your life, especially if you're coming out of a rut. It can be quite lonely. Like I said at the start, a lot of the guys I speak to in a rut are truly lonely, and some people do not know how lonely men can really be in this life. They've got no friends, let alone a relationship, right? Let alone a loving relationship. Some of them have no family. Some of them come from abuse. And I know we've all gone through hard times, but my point is they have so many reasons not to do the right thing for them or for other people. And then when people do come into their life, they're really not well equipped to assess if these are the right people they want to learn from, be around, because they just need someone to latch onto. I've seen it so often, genuinely, guys, from coaching guys, their health and fitness, helping them with their mindset, things like that, and speaking to them, hundreds and hundreds of guys over the last few years. I've really noticed this, that they will latch onto an idea or something in the news or something. They'll find something or some kind of person to go, right, well, that's the thing that's going to give me the fulfillment I've been looking for and I've been lacking. When if you have principles, it's kind of like a top trump card, right? It's the top of the deck that's going to go, well, if you don't follow these principles or you don't align with these principles, then I'm actually just I can discard it, right? I can discard that person or discard that thing or discard that piece of information, and I'm not going to give it my time and attention. And it's only the things that do fall in line with my principles that I will. So I would just pick 3 to 5. It doesn't need to be a lot, okay? And I know certain religions, like I was raised Catholic, there's 10 commandments, things like that. And again, if you follow a faith, you've got your principles, then great, okay? And again, all these steps tie into each other. So if the smallest possible step forward for you is, you are a person of faith, but you haven't really been following it, go to your place of worship if you haven't been, right? That could be your smallest possible step forward. It's like, and I'm not saying it's the same, but for me, very much so, it's like going to the gym, right? It's like my place where I go to, where I feel like, again, it's my anchor. It keeps me on my path, keeps my health and fitness in order, which everything else stems from in my life. And for many people, that's their faith is that thing for them. So principles, make sure you have them. Ask yourself what they are. Write them down. Keep them in a notepad on your phone. Write them down in a journal, okay? And assess. And I've even used these as affirmations. Some people have mixed feelings about affirmations, but when I was speaking with a really good solution-based therapist last year, his name's Adam Lane Smith, you can look him up on YouTube, he really drilled this into me, and I knew this was important, but he really called me out and basically asked me, what are your principles, Dan? Put me on the spot. And these are the 3 things that came to mind. Like I said, honesty, courage, and integrity for me are really important. And I think about multiple times a week, maybe not every morning anymore, but I used to every morning say that to myself. It might seem silly to some of you, but it really helped me understand, have my actions today aligned with those principles, right? Are the people that I'm surrounding myself with, do they align with those principles? And that really is one of the deeper things that is bigger than yourself, that will take you out of a rut or stop you even getting into one. This brings me on to my 5th and final tip or step, which is do your duty, especially when you don't feel like it. Motivation is BS, guys. You've probably heard that plenty of times in the self-improvement space, in the gym, or like in gym content, things like that. But it's so true. And I know it's easily said and it's not easily followed, but especially when life is like bad for you at the moment, if you feel like, and even if it isn't, there's something bad coming for all of us, right? So that's why it's so important to do the hard work, especially when you don't feel like it, because that way you are prepared for when things take a turn for the worst. Now imagine this. There are 2 versions of you. One is living within their feelings, right? You act completely based on how you feel. If you feel sad, you feel sorry for yourself, you stay at home, you don't go out, you don't do anything, you don't do the work you need to do, you don't go to the gym. Versus there's another version of you that does what he needs to do, whether he feels like it or not, right? And I'll give you an example right now. Today is a Sunday that I'm filming this video, and I do usually do a bit of work every day of the week, okay? And I'm not saying everybody has to do that, but I know that the bits of work I needed to do today, I didn't feel like doing them. I even said that to my partner. I don't feel like doing what I need to do, but I know I have to do it, and I know I'm going to do it because that's the kind of guy I am. And that's one of the reasons I know she finds me attractive, right? And that's not me blowing my own trumpet or anything like that, but truly, if you have a good partner, they will want the best for you. And going back to step 1, when I talked about having a brotherhood or someone to speak to, if someone truly wants the best for you, they will hold you accountable based on the things that the kind of man you are, the principles you have, and also the missions you are on, right? So it's so key to just do it. And it's very easy to go, oh, but it's so hard. Like, you are in physical control of your body. I know this seems so blatantly obvious, but I think people get away from this. And this is one of my gripes with the modern mental health movement is I'm somewhere on the middle on this. I for sure advocate for counseling and seeking out the right kind of help, but not just to sit there and cry about your issues and do nothing about them. Cry, right? I'm not opposed to that. Do what you need to do. Get out what you need to get out, right? Vent what you need to vent, but do something about it, and don't do things based just on your feelings, right? There's a really cool story, and I'm probably butchering this, but it is actually from Adam Lane Smith, and he talked about this on the Modern Wisdom podcast, which is where I discovered him first. And it's from World War II, where there was like this ward or this hospital where there was a bunch of men who were in such a bad state. Some of them had strokes or comas, or were just in a really bad, maybe just a mental state. Again, I may be butchering this, but they were just bedridden, right? They were bedridden and pretty much useless to the society around them. When the war kicked off, they got up off their own accord and started driving ambulances and fire engines, right? And then he went on to say, men need a mission and a purpose and a way of accomplishing that purpose and mission. And you give a man those things and he will crawl over broken glass with a smile, right? And like I said before, all of these things are tied together. It can be very easy to get crippled by your problems and not take action and just vent and vent and vent and talk and talk and talk about them without actually doing anything about them. But when you form yourself a clear path, and doing that, like I said, is getting the smallest possible thing you would actually do, could and would do, it starts to form a direct path you can start to walk, right? When you start to walk that path, there are going to be times you don't feel like continuing to walk that path, or you do. So you just keep doing it, right? Because that's the version of you that's going to win in the long run. That's the version of you that's going to get the life that he truly wants, not the guy who only does it when he feels like it, right? So do your duty, especially when you don't feel like it. So I'm going to summarize these steps, and I hope this video has been helpful for you. So I'm going to go through the steps just one more time. Step 1, the moaning phase. Make sure you get out of that as soon as you can, but it is really important to have someone to speak to. Step 2, the smallest step forward. That's what's actually going to get you out of that phase, right? Not making big plans and making big changes, something small that you could and would do. Step 3, health and fitness should come first. I don't care who you are, dad, business owner, shift worker, day or night, we work with them all. I've heard all the excuses in the book, and every single guy I've worked with who's put their health and fitness first have been so much better for it, and it's added to everything else in their life, not taken away. And if you don't believe me on that, check out our testimonials and reviews playlist, and you can see for yourself the different guys with different backgrounds, different things who have done that, and it's only been the better for them. Step 4, what are your principles? What are your values? You need to go through those. It doesn't have to be war and peace, just pick 3 to 5. And step 5, do your duty, especially when you don't feel like it. Thanks for watching the video, guys. I hope this has been helpful for you. There's probably going to be something else to watch here or here, and I'll see you in the next one.